Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. I am Jamie. As always, I am joined by Callum. How are you doing, Callum?
How you doing, Jamie?
Rocking and rolling. And today we have a very special guest. He is the wrestler of the people, Mr. Christian Kobain. How are you, sir?
I mean, I'm as good as I can be. I'm in lockdown with two children. They like to scream their head off. I'm surprised you can't hear them right now. I worked very hard to make sure they stayed calm for this. But you know what? I'm all right. I can't complain. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Without the kids, but it's still lockdown, so it's been a little bit boring, but doing stuff like this really helps with the lockdown. So it's a pleasure to speak to you today. And I just want to say that backdrop behind you is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Kids artwork. This side right here is my youngest son, Bradley. This side right here is my oldest son, Blake.
Is that Pikachu in the background?
Artist. Oh, there's a bunch of Pikachus, actually. I think we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pikachus.
Hey, that's really good artwork. Let him know.
I'll let him know.
I won't even. Yeah, I don't understand Pokemon, do I, Callum? So I will.
You thought Pikachu?
Come on, I think you know Pikachu.
He doesn't. He thought Pikachu was actually called Pokemon.
Whoa, wait. Hold on. What?
he thought Pikachu's actual name was Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Learn during this interview, Jamie is clueless when it comes to the 21st century and technology.
Wow. Well, we're on Skype right now, right?
I had to show him how to use it.
Callum had to show me how to use Skype. Literally, my dream is to have a cabin in the middle of the woods with a bottle of whiskey and my guitar. I'm happy.
Okay.
You should have
hang out and I'll listen to you play some guitar for me, brother.
You should have seen his face when I showed him how to use Uber, and I told him that a taxi would come if you press this button on your phone. And when
somebody will come pick me up and take me to my destination.
His mind was
serious.
It was incredible. It really was.
My mind was blown too the first time I heard about Uber. I still kind of don't believe it's a real thing, and I've used it numerous times.
It is a great app, to be fair. I mean, I know I just said it like it's a nothing thing, but the fact that you can just press a button and a taxi shows up outside your house.
What about DoorDash? Do you guys have DoorDash over there?
What's DoorDash?
Grubhub.
Food delivery. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Uber for food.
Yeah, we've got Uber Eats and Just Eat.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And you only got into that last year, Jamie. We was at the pub, and he said, I'm going to get takeout on the way back. And I was like, well, you can just get it on Just Eat. And he was like, what's this? So I said, you can go on the app, you can just press the food that you want, and it comes to your house. And a couple of months later, he finally got around to the idea, and he did it. And he was like, this is game changing. And I was like,
it is.
It is, mate.
Oh, dude, you are behind on the times.
Yeah.
I'm catching up very slowly. I'm the real life version of Ron Swanson. I'm catching
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Absolutely. And
you
before
just
we get
even more points, Parks and Rec and Beard, I think we're going to be good friends after this.
I mean, the fact that before we recorded, you said, you complimented my beard. You automatically became my best friend.
That's how you win Jamie's heart. Compliment his beard, and you'll be friends for life.
Yeah. I have no time for Callum anymore. It's just me and you now, Christian. You're my best friend.
You want to host this show togetger next time?
Oh.
Yeah, can do. Yeah. Callum,
me or
Callum, I wish you all the best on your future endeavours. It's been
future endeavours,
bro. Look, maybe I'll go to Headlock Talk podcast. Maybe I'll go to one of the other podcasts on Twitter. Maybe I'll maybe I'll go to AEW. Who knows?
It's getting a little hot in here, guys.
Yeah. It only took 5 minutes for you to get between our relationship. Well done, Christian.
Well, let's face it. He complimented my beard. Your surname is Kobain, who basically is one of my idols. So, I mean, exactly. You can't do no wrong. I think we are literally best friends now.
I think we're seeing a romance just blossom between us. So this is pretty special.
Fist bump, brother.
Fist bump.
Because we can't shake hands anymore.
Well, this is true.
Yeah. Which I'm totally cool with that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. The less people I have to touch, the better. But anyway, Christian, while we're talking, then let's talk wrestling. We
Please.
always like what got you into wrestling? What was your first memories? When did you become a fan?
Well, I actually remember the very first time I watched professional wrestling. I don't remember the exact age, and I've done research, and if anybody watching this can figure it out, maybe send me some video, I would appreciate it a ton. But I remember the very first wrestling match that I saw was Rey Mysterio Jr. versus the Giant. I don't know if it was Nitro, Thunder, I'm not sure. I know Roddy Piper was involved, and I just remember that was the first thing I ever saw, and from that moment on, I was hooked.
So the first thing you saw was WCW?
Yes, WCW. I was a WCW kid. I was a wrestling kid. Don't get me wrong. My favorite wrestler of all time is Stone Cold Steve Austin. But WCW is what got me into wrestling.
I always find it interesting when people, when they have the first memory and it's WCW and not WWE, because for most people it is WWE. So I always find it cool when people got into it through Nitro or something else. Like I was speaking to someone recently whose first memory in wrestling was New Japan. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. New Japan got you into wrestling. And some people mention TNA. But so it's cool to see people not have that WWE bubble, which got them into it. For me, it was. But you say it was Rey Mysterio versus the Giant. And that was the first match that you saw. And what a first match to see, really. Like Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest performers of all time.
I mean, I can't really say if it was a good match or not because I was about 6 years old. But I was definitely captured by just the spectacle of seeing this 7 foot, I don't know how big he is, a huge man versus this dude who's tiny. Like, it was just unreal to me. I've never seen anything like it.
So you weren't checking the dirt sheets to see what Meltzer rated the match or anything. You were just enjoying the spectacle of what it was. And
I mean, again, I've went back and looked, but I guess Meltzer didn't review that one.
What I will do later, Christian, I will put a tweet out. I met the Big Show about 10 years ago in the UK, and I'm the same height as Rey Mysterio. I'm not a tall guy.
Are you really?
So I will tweet that picture out.
For some reason, I can only see you from the chest up, but you look like you'd be a tall dude.
Well, I mean, I used to be 6'6", but obviously I'm getting older. I'm shrinking with age.
You're what, 6'2"?
I'm 5'6" now. Age hasn't treated me well at all. But I have got a picture of the Big Show, so you'll be able to see the size difference is ridiculous. Yes. I think I went up to his ribcage. I will find that picture and tweet it. I will tag you in it so you can see the picture.
Please do.
And just to pre-warn you, I don't have a beard on this photo, so I look horrendous.
Never mind. Don't share it then. I don't want to see it.
Fair enough.
I can put it in this show. I can edit it right here, right now.
Oh, perfect. Like, is it here?
Yeah, I can put it there.
Oh, there he is. Without that beard looking like a fool, man. What are you doing? Come on.
And I think it was after the show as well. I stayed in the same hotel, and I think the Big Show wasn't very happy at taking the photo. His face doesn't look happy anyway, but I will have to find it.
Maybe he wasn't so much as not happy. Maybe he was just exhausted.
Possibly, yeah. We'll go with exhausted.
You guys are in a completely different country too.
Yeah, this is true. He was probably jet lagged, and it just been wrestling. Yeah.
And you have to think too, being that big, flying on a plane can't be a fun experience.
Well, I was going to ask you this question later, but while we're on the question of coming to the UK, is that on your bucket list to do? Do you want to come to the UK and wrestle?
I mean, do you really think I'm going to say no?
Maybe. I don't know. So, that would be
absolutely 100%. Here's the thing. Right now, currently, my passport is expired, and I'm waiting for the DMV to. I don't know why it's not an essential service to begin with, but for some reason here, all our DMVs are closed. But as soon as those open back up, I'm heading right down there to get my passport redone, and I'm doing everything in my power to go everywhere I can. And the UK is near the top of my list.
That would be amazing. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the UK scene right now is on fire. It's probably phenomenal. The biggest it's been since what we used to call the golden era of British wrestling back in the 80s. And we've got some great talent here. Is there anybody that you know of that you'd like to mix it up with? Or are you quite new to the scene and you're looking forward to finding out who there is to wrestle here?
I mean, I'd like to go with Jimmy Havoc, to be honest with you.
That would be cool. Is it style of wrestling that you enjoy?
I'm sorry, you broke up there. Say that again.
Is it Jimmy's style of wrestling that you enjoy, the deathmatch style?
I'm not much of a deathmatch guy myself personally, but I like to think that I can get in there and do any style with anybody. And I think that me and Jimmy specifically would just tear the house down. And I haven't had a lot of experience with the death matches. I've done a couple things here and there. And if I was to have, let's say, my cherry popped, I would like it to be with Jimmy.
Oh, what a way to have it popped as well. I'm sure he'd do that. No questions asked.
Probably with a staple gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't comment on Jimmy Havoc. I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy Havoc, but
yeah, you still got that beard. We're cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the scene here is great. So I'm sure if you were to come over, you'd have no problems getting bookings, and it would be cool to see you here. I mean, if you ever do get bookings here, let us know, and we definitely will come support you. The UK is only a small place. We can probably get anywhere in England within a few hours. So give us a heads up when you do come over, and we'll be there to cheer you on or boo you, whichever one you want.
Oh, whatever I'm told to do that night.
Yeah, we'll do it. But you're the rest of the people. I mean, I can't boo that.
Yeah, but I do have an evil twin.
Right, okay, and he comes out sometimes depending on which promotion it is.
I guess so. It depends on how you want to word the situation, but I do have an evil twin.
So going back to
wrestling's real, guys. All right.
Yeah, it's real. We're not. Jeez. But going back to when you first started watching wrestling, how long was it after that you decided this is something I want to do?
I mean, I think I knew from the first match that it's something that I wanted to do. I didn't think it was an actual real possibility for a very, very long time, though. I think I was 20, I'm roughly guessing here because I don't want to do the math, 22-ish whenever it actually became a real possibility.
Right.
But I always wanted to do it.
Yeah, so when did you first find out that it was something you could do? Was it when you first started training? I believe it was with Sami Callihan.
Well, no. My original training was done where I'm from. I'm from a very small state that, hell, people in America barely even know it's a state, West Virginia. Not Western Virginia, West Virginia. And I had a buddy. His wrestling name is Shane Kryzak. He still wrestles. You should check him out. He's actually pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We broke in together. We used to be gym buddies. We'd go work out all the time, blah, blah, blah. One day, I randomly showed up to work out in a CM Punk shirt. We're riding home that day. Kryzak turns around, looks at me, and goes, "Hey, wrestling's fake, right?" And I immediately go to rip him a new butthole. Like my face. Can you see my face? I immediately just. But before I got the opportunity to tear him in half, he goes, "No, hold on. I'm just playing. I love wrestling," and it just kind of blossomed from there. We would spend every day talking about wrestling until one day he got introduced to a local legend from West Virginia. Again, not Western Virginia, West Virginia. His name's Adorable Danny Ray. Are you guys familiar with Jamie Noble?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he trained Jamie Noble. He also trained a guy, another legend from my area named Chance Prophet. And
I heard of Chance Prophet before.
You know Chance?
Yeah.
Chance is amazing. Kryzak got introduced to Danny Ray, and then because of that, he took me to go train with him. Danny Ray taught us the basics. He taught us how to bump. He taught us how to chain wrestle. The first 7 or 8 months of my training wasn't even in a ring. I was in a little room on on concrete with a pad, bumping on that, listening to this man tell stories.
And yeah, sorry, I was going to say I sympathise with you there. I did training for a few years, and we did bump on crash mats on concrete floors too.
You get it then.
We only got the ring once a month, and
yeah.
The other time it was bumping basically on the concrete because you'd go straight through that crash mat.
Oh, there's no give.
There's no give.
You might as well not even have the pad there.
Yeah, sometimes we were taking back body drops, and I had no idea how to take the move, and I was landing like on my neck, and I was like, "This can't be right." But yeah, I completely
shouldn't have been doing those on the concrete.
No.
I'm not speaking ill of whoever was training you, but that maybe shouldn't have happened.
I've done full podcasts before on how bad the training was in that trainer, so it's fine. But yeah,
are we allowed to curse on here? I didn't ask you that.
Of course you can.
Okay, well, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. See, now you two are best friends. See, it's all come around.
Yeah, if you bumped on a crash mat, that's basically on concrete. You're basically brothers for life. So, yeah, sorry to interrupt there. Carry on.
But you mentioned Sami Callihan. That kind of leads to the second part of my training. You see, I did my basics with Danny Ray in West Virginia. I wrestled there for about 2 years before I discovered a place called Rockstar Pro up in Dayton, Ohio, which is about 3.5 hours from where I live. And I went up there, started wrestling a little bit until I met Dave Crist of OVE.
Yep.
Me and Dave kind of became friends pretty quickly. He invited me and Kryzak. I forgot to mention that. Kryzak went with me. Pretty much everything I've done, Kryzak's been there with me. We went up there. We started training under Dave. We would drive up every week, stay at his house, train, do Rockstar shows. Eventually, I started making my way onto the Rockstar Pro shows, this was the first like pretty decent indie that like I started to work my way into the regular roster. We were just getting past squash matches, and we're driving home one day. My tire literally flies off my car. And, the car is the lifeblood to a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
I now no longer had a way to get back and forth to date. So I lost that booking. I lost that training. It was another 1.5 years roughly before I got another opportunity to go back whenever I saw a post from Dave Crist on Facebook talking about how they had a spot open in the Wrestle House, which if you're not familiar with that, Dave has a house up in Dayton, Ohio, where he invites young wrestlers to come live and train and basically further their career.
That's so cool.
It's amazing, and I pretty much owe everything in my career to that. So, like, again, I want to take this moment. Thank you, Dave Crist. So, yeah, I jumped on that. I moved up there, and I trained with Dave at the OI4K Academy for roughly 8 months to, I think it was about a year, actually. About a year. I didn't directly train under Sami Callihan, but Sami Callihan was there. He would come and go, like, here and there. Whenever he was available, he would come in and help out. But the majority of my training was Dave.
Oh, that's really cool. So, like you said, you owe Dave Crist a lot of your early career. Yeah. And what was the most important thing that you learned during your training? Because one thing I found was when I first got into wrestling training, it was completely different to what I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd just be doing moves all the time, and it really opened my eyes as to how hard this is and how it, in the end, wasn't something I could do. I couldn't have stuck it out. What was the biggest thing for you? What was the most eye-opening thing you learned in your training?
Okay, so I'm going to say this real quick, and then I'll come back to it. I'm very glad I'm allowed to cuss because it's very important to this story I'm about to tell. Dave, for one, taught me so much. Like, it's kind of impossible to really limit it to just one thing, but I'm going to for you. Dave Crist would constantly tell me over and over and over. I'd come up to him after my match at Rockstar and be like, "Hey, Pops, how'd I do? What do you think?" He'd be like, "Quit being a pussy, kid." For the longest time, I'm just like, what the hell do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? I would nod my head and be like, "All right, Pops, I'll quit being a pussy." But I didn't really get it until about 8 or 9 months in, until it finally just started to click. And basically, what he meant by "don't be a pussy" was just go out there, have fun, and be you, and stop giving a fuck what people think about you. And once you do that, that translates so much to that crowd. Like, because to me, wrestling is nothing but me giving energy to fans, and those fans giving energy back to me. And whether you realize it or not, people can sense nervous energy. Like, you can feel that, and you can feel confident. So whenever I decided to stop being a pussy, I started getting over as hell. So I thank Dave Crist so much for the lesson of just don't be a pussy.
I think if there's any young wrestlers listening to this right now, I think that's really good advice to take from that as well. Like you said, you can tell when people are nervous and you can tell when people are confident. And if you're confident in who you are as a wrestler, people are going to buy it. And that makes you so much more genuine. And I've always found that the wrestlers who I enjoy the work of are people who seem like there wouldn't be too much different in real life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's kind of like, that leads to something else. That's kind of, for the longest time, I just had no idea who I was. And that was another thing with the don't be a pussy thing, because I would always ask Dave, like, who am I? Like, what's my character? Like, what am I supposed to be? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. And so, like, recently, honestly, I've just learned that, like, I'm just a dude. Like, I'm just an average dude doing cool shit because of cool dudes who are helping me do it.
I've got to say, yeah, I have seen you. You mentioned that a few times on Twitter. I really like that approach. You're just a normal dude who's been helped to do this by cool dudes, and I'm like, that's so
I'm
cool.
a fan. I'm a fan, just like everybody else is, man. Some of my best friends are named Mark. I've been waiting to drop that line in an interview for a long time. Thanks for setting me up.
I did actually see a few videos when I was doing some research before. Like, it's just you interacting with fans, and there was this one where there was a woman shout.
That's my evil twin.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah,
Continue. I can speak on his behalf.
Yeah, so you can speak on your evil twin's behalf. That's great. So she was shouting at your evil twin, and she was really pissed, and it was in like a corridor. And what was going on with that? Because just from
that was a night right there.
I feel like I got to know a lot about you just from that little clip.
Well, the cool part is actually that was a part of a documentary that's supposed to have already been released soon, but thanks to this whole COVID-19 thing screwing everything up, it's been delayed. But a buddy of mine who's actually an incredible videographer and film editor, I'm not exactly sure what the correct terminology for that is, but he's really good at what he does, is making a documentary about independent professional wrestling called Bump. And he decided to follow me that night to my show in West Virginia. And so, yeah, I'm in the hallway. I'm selling merch. This lady's walking by, and it was after the match. So there's actually another clip. I'll share it later. After the match, I get in her son's face, and I scream. I'm sorry. My evil twin screams, "I'm the star of the show." And he did not like that. So apparently I was offensive to him in some way. I'm not really sure how, but after the show, I mean, you saw what happened. And unfortunately, that clip was only like 30 seconds of the 5-minute interaction.
I can't wait to see the rest of that. Because
absolutely.
Just from that 30 seconds, I was like, I'm kind of sold on you just because of how you responded to it. You were just like...
Oh, there was so much more. Even later on, this is one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. Later on, as I'm leaving, like I walk outside, I got my stuff. I walk through a group of people of about 6, maybe 7 people. They're in a big circle, and I walk right through them. And as soon as I get about 5 yards away, they start talking mad shit. They're like, "Hey, Christian, you suck. If you come back next month, we're going to kill you. We're going to bring a gun and shoot you," all kinds of stuff. They're losing it. They're going berserk.
Getting that Roddy Piper heat.
Dude, you have no idea. And then luckily, Victor, being as smart as he is, decided to go over and interview them. And I have yet to see the footage, but I could hear them because they're probably 15 yards away from us as this is happening. And they're interviewing them for about 15 minutes, and they're just going berate the entire time, screaming, cursing. They are mad as hell. My evil twin is really good at his job.
So your evil twin, does he find this kind of interaction cool, like knowing that he's pissed off so many people so easily?
Oh, he loves it.
It must be so cool knowing, like, just all you said was, "I'm the star of the show." And that's just...
I mean, along with a lot of other things that happened during the match to piss them off, but that was the one that set them off.
I love that. So simple, but it sounds like you've just annoyed a full arena of people. Sorry, your evil twin. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of that documentary. When it's up, can you put out a tweet or let us know, and we'll put out the word as well about the documentary.
Absolutely. I really want to say this now. I'm sold on that. Like I say, Callum, bless his heart, did the research. I've been at work all day. Callum did the research, but I desperately now need to see this clip. So I think it's the best thing I'm going to do when we wrap up later on. But
I'll be sure to post the other clip too that I was talking about.
Yeah,
please do. I'm going to let Callum. Obviously, you've worked for Chikara.
Yeah, one.
Is Callum, his face is beaming because Callum is a massive Chikara fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
Who's not? Like, if you know Chikara and you're not a fan of him, come on, what's wrong with you?
When I first started my wrestling training, I was 16. I'm 31 now, and Chikara was kind of what I watched from like my inspiration for anything I was doing. So
That's awesome.
I'd go to wrestling training and I'd be trying to be Chuck Taylor, and I'd be using all of his moves and everything. And I didn't realize at the time you should never try to be somebody else, but
Everybody does when they first start.
Everybody does, and Chuck Taylor was my guy. And I'd be going in and I'd be doing the the foot to the jaw pull down move that he does, and I was using all of his moves, and looking back it's kind of cringy, but Chikara,
brother, I was Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy, cool, yeah. And
every young wrestler does that.
Yeah, you always have that one guy, don't you, who you want to be. And
again, you really don't discover who you are for a while until you start just not giving a fuck what people think about you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's really cool that you've discovered who you are.
I think I'm in the middle of discovering who I am.
Yeah, you're not the finished product. I'm sure you're going to change a lot more times during your career, but that's the exciting part of it. You're finding your confidence now, but you're not even at your best. You're not even the finished product yet. So
I've got a long way to go.
But that's it. I mean, that's, you say like not giving a fuck what people think. Is that what drew you to Stone Cold Steve Austin? You're saying he's your favorite wrestler. I mean, no one gives zero fucks like Steve Austin. Nobody
did. Absolutely. I like to throw a lot of middle fingers into my work too. So if we're talking about ripping people off, I still do that, and I don't plan on stopping unless Stone Cold hits me up himself and tells me to stop.
You can throw one now if you want. Let's.
There we go.
That actually, have you guys seen because like every independent wrestler has their dive spot these days. Have you guys seen my dive spot?
Is to the outside?
Yeah, dive through onto the floor.
I keep doing like the swanton bomb onto people's back, but I haven't seen your dive spot.
Well, my dive spot, because every indie wrestler has to have a dive spot these days. And I was just like everybody else. I was out there killing myself, getting dropped on my head every week on the floor. And so I realized that that's just not worth it. So I just decided to start flipping people off instead. I go for the suicide dive, poke my head through, flip people off, and it's the most over thing I've ever done in my career. And I don't have to hurt myself to do it.
Oh, I love it. The fans will hate that.
It's the suicide bird.
It's a brilliant name for it.
Yeah.
I love it.
The fans actually love it. It's super over.
You still get the heat from the move, and you're not putting your body at risk. That's a great combination.
Exactly.
I just want to go on record now and say Christian Kobain is my favourite wrestler in the world.
You're just working your way into my heart now with that red beard, my dude. Come on.
I love it. You're just flipping people off the horse. I absolutely love it.
This is heartwarming.
Honestly, I wish I work at the hospital. I wish I could go flip people off all day long, but
you can live vicariously through me, brother. I got you.
That is what I intend to do from now on. That is it. I mean, as soon as this interview is up, I'm going straight to Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm not even lying. I'm going straight on there.
Hey, that's a
my dude
one actually. Christian, while we're talking about Pro Wrestling Tees, Dolph Ziggler bought some of your merchandise.
That's
pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's a story in itself, actually, because before all that happened, I was a relative unknown, entirely, other than my state. I've put some work in my state. I'm pretty well known in my state, but outside of my state, it wasn't so much until that, and the combination of me putting in a lot of extra work on Twitter. I put in a lot of extra work on Twitter because of the whole quarantine thing. I knew everybody was going to be on lockdown. I knew fans were desperate for pro wrestling more than ever these days. So I decided, you know what, now's the time to really put myself out there. And I did. I started really working hard at Twitter. Twitter became my job. And because of that, I gained a little bit of a following. And then Dolph Ziggler posted that he was looking to support the indies. A bunch of people went on there and started tagging me. Brother went and bought my stuff, and it just kind of blew up. It's kind of crazy, the exposure that I got from that.
That was the first time I heard your name, actually, was on a Reddit post, because it got to the top of Squared Circle. And it said Dolph Ziggler buys independent wrestler Kurt Cobain's merchandise.
It's like I'm back to year one of my career and everybody's calling me Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking in my head, don't say Kurt Cobain, don't say Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain. So yeah, Christian Cobain's
I'm cool with it. My evil twin is pissed right now.
So yeah, he buys Christian Cobain's merchandise, and I checked it out, and I was like, that's really cool, because the screen caps your tweet about it, I believe. And I was like, that's so cool. He went on to Pro Wrestling Tees, bought some merchandise of a young wrestler. That's good that he's showing his support. Have you had any further interaction with Ziggler, or has it just been he bought the merchandise and that was it? Or
I can't say a whole lot, but Dolph Ziggler does follow me on Twitter. He'll occasionally like a post of mine. He's a super cool dude. Super, super cool. Honestly, like, buying the shirts was awesome, really helpful. Just the rub that he's given me just from commenting on my stuff, and he's got 1.2 or 1.3 million followers, and all those people see what he writes. Like, doing that did more for me than anything else did. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. Like, if you asked me last year, this would be the craziest statement I could ever make, but I owe my career to Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that must be a surreal thing to say to yourself. Like, you owe your career to Dolph Ziggler. If you could go back and tell yourself, like, a year ago, hey, Dolph Ziggler's going to play a part in your career, you'd be like, really?
How?
Yeah.
Like, I could spend weeks trying to figure out how. I would never come to a solution.
Such a cool story, though.
I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that interact with him, and I've never heard a bad thing about the guy. The amount of fans that have met him, they've said how much he goes out of the way to just talk to them and be friendly with them. And, you know, that makes someone's day, a minute or two of their time, person, and he gets it. And
absolutely. I like to take that. I like to treat wrestling the same way, pretty much. Like, the fans they're the ones that pay their hard-earned money to see us. They're the whole reason we're there. I mean, just look at the WWE right now. Like, the ratings are worse than they've ever been because they don't have any fans. Like, that right there proves more than anything else that wrestling lives and dies on the fans. They're the most important thing, which is why my entire character is based around the people now. See, I'm one of those guys that, like, I'm not afraid to interact with people on Twitter. I will respond to DMs. I will follow people back. I'm not one of these guys who's like, oh, I can't have my follow ratio messed up, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried about that.
Awesome.
I'm worried about meeting cool fans. I'm worried about cool fans meeting me. I'm worried about not only them learning about me, but me getting to learn about them.
You've completely won me over with, like I said, I want to find out more about you in this interview because I was unfamiliar with who you are as a person and not too familiar with your work, but just hearing how it's, for lack of a better term, you get it by the sounds of it. And it you know what I mean? Like, you seem very self-aware of what you need to do and who you are. And I think that comes across as very genuine. And like I said before, if I find someone genuine,
my God, I don't mean to cut you off, but I love cats. I got to see that adorable cat.
Oh, this is OP.
It's the mascot of the show.
Nice. What's his name?
Yeah, OP.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Are you a Sons of Anarchy fan? It's
OP. You said OP. Okay. Oh yes, absolutely. I'm a Sons of Anarchy fan. Let's see OP. Now, that is a beautiful cat, my friend. I didn't think I could like you guys anymore.
And she's only 4 months old. She's still a baby.
She's getting bigger though.
She's getting okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She's.
I've got a hoodie on, and she's trying to get the strings. She's got a thing for the strings.
Always. Come to think of it, you kind of look like Opie.
Oh, you've made his. Oh, come on.
I'm going to need a minute.
That's why he named the cat Opie, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I'm going to need a minute. Callum, if you can just talk to Christian for a minute.
Sure, Christian. Yeah. Before we start wrapping things up, I want to know, like, we've spoken about where you've come from and where you are currently. What are you?
We're wrapping things up. We're talking all night.
Yeah, we can go all night. I like this.
Hey, it's still middle of the day over here, dude.
It looks like it's gonna piss it down with rain here any minute. But
we had that yesterday.
Jamie, I don't know about you, but spare me a second. You get to see the lovely outside in the UK. It looks like it's about to absolutely piss it down.
It does. Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it's getting pretty dark. But Jamie, what was I even talking about? I can't even remember now.
Sorry, that was my fault. I distracted you from.
I started going on about the bloody weather.
I'm just still thinking. I've just got Opie on the mind now. I'm just. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. We've spoken about like where you've come from, where you are currently, and how you're finding your confidence. As you're finding your confidence, where do you want to go in the future? Is there a set goal, or is it just do as much as possible and wrestle wherever you can?
Okay, so here's the thing. My number one goal right now in professional wrestling is to, yes, of course, I want to make it big in wrestling. I want to be able to feed my children off of my passion. Absolutely, 100%. That's a huge goal. But my goal right now in professional wrestling is to help build independent professional wrestling. Like it's on such a rise right now, and I'm kind of stunned that people still aren't really realizing how big indie wrestling is getting. As you were talking before, indie wrestling in the UK is huge right now. Well, it's the same in the States. Indie wrestling is blowing up right now. It's almost like the territory days where pretty much anybody who's good can make money. And like there's fans for every territory that's out there. So I just want to be a big piece in building up indie wrestling. Now, that's not to say that if I was given the opportunity to go to a big company, I wouldn't do it. But that also doesn't mean that if that happened, I wouldn't still be pushing for indie wrestling every day of my life. Because indie wrestling is everything to me, just like it is to every fan out there.
Yeah, that's a good mentality to have.
I like that. Yeah, you never forget where you come from. I like that.
Never.
Yeah.
West Virginia, not Western Virginia. West
I just want to say I've never heard of Western Virginia. I've only heard of West Virginia.
It's a thing in the States. Like everybody acts like we're not really a state and we're a part of Virginia, and we don't like it. For everybody out there, we don't like it. We're a state and we help, damn it.
Well, sorry, we're in the UK and everyone just thinks we're from London, don't they, Callum? But
Yeah. We're a good 4 hours from London, but whenever we've come to America, they've just been like, "So where are you from? London?" I'm like,
London,
"Yeah,
right?
Why not? Yeah."
We went to Indiana a couple of years ago. We've got a friend who lives in Indiana, so we went to stay with him and drive through to Chicago for All In Starcast.
Okay.
And we was at a bar in Indiana, and he introduced me to a few of his friends, and I was like, "Hello, how are you? All this." And I was walking away, you could hear these two girls say, "Oh my God, he's from London." I'm like,
yeah.
Question: did you guys see any wrestling when you were in Indiana?
Yeah. No, not in Indiana. We was only there for All In for the week.
Gotcha.
So we got to see Indiana. We stayed there for 3 or 4 days. So it's a beautiful place. We absolutely can't wait to go back to Indiana.
We have a friend who's actually from Indiana, don't we? So we went to stay with him. I fell in love with Indiana. I would go
really
back.
Good independent wrestling scene right now.
Really?
There's a lot of really talented wrestlers. They have some good promotions. I've spent a little bit of time in Indiana myself. I love Indiana.
We'll have to check that out, Jamie. I mean, we've been wanting to go back to Indiana. We wanted to go this year, but it's looking like that's not going to happen. So maybe next year we'll be able to actually go and check that out.
Absolutely, I fell in love with Indiana. I won't lie. I left my heart there. And plus, there was some really hot women there.
It's such a cool place. I absolutely love going to America. I don't know if you feel the same being from there, but like whenever I go to America, it's just like I feel more at home there than I do here. It's such a weird feeling.
Well, yes, I definitely feel at home here.
Yeah, I'd imagine you do. From America, but being a Brit, it's a bit of a weird feeling.
Well,
yeah,
when I come there, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you've got to come to Yorkshire when you come to the UK. Don't just go to London, because if you just go to London, you haven't seen the UK.
Wait, so you're telling me there's more than London?
Yeah, crazy, right?
Have you heard of Yorkshire?
Yeah, I have. Not as much as London, obviously, but yes, I've heard of it.
Because I mean, we interviewed Zicky Dice a few weeks ago, and Callum said to him, "Oh, we're from a place called Yorkshire," and it went from Yorkshire to Zicky telling us how much he likes rice pudding. I think.
Yeah.
So it's just. So we thought we'll just check that. Have you heard of Yorkshire, or do you like rice?
Okay, well, rice pudding is awful for one.
Oh, we've got a match now.
Yeah, that's it.
Zicky
fight you.
Hey, the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Oh.
Tapioca pudding all the way.
Oh, I'm going to put that in the tweet for this when I put it out. Tag Zicky Dice.
Yeah. Don't be angry, Christian, if we tag Zicky Dice now and get you a feud going.
Go right ahead. I would be happy to tango with that man.
Hey, you could take the NWA Television Championship off him.
And then I'm going to eat my tapioca pudding off of it.
That's fighting talk.
I love it. This may be my favourite interview we've ever done.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this.
Well, the video helps because I get to look at that impressive beard and your cat. Come on, bro.
Well, that's a winning combination, right?
I mean, you just say all the right things, dude. I mean, you can't say nothing wrong. I think, well, to quote Step Brothers, did we just become best friends? I mean,
Yup.
I love it. Absolutely fantastic. And I am going to go onto Pro Wrestling Tees and buy myself a Christian Kobain t-shirt.
Well, do me a favor, and whenever you get it, send me a picture in it.
I certainly will.
We'll put the link for your Pro Wrestling Tee store in the description of this video.
I appreciate that.
So we'll put your social media links and your Pro Wrestling Tee store below. Is there anything before we go that you want to plug that you've got coming up, or any new merchandise that you've got?
Well, unfortunately, there's no wrestling right now.
No.
So I can't exactly plug any upcoming matches. Sad face. But yeah, you guys plugged my pro wrestling tees. I've got a little bit of merch on hand myself. If anybody wants to hit me up directly, I make a lot more money that way. But yeah, you guys plugged my social media. Like I don't have anything to plug really, except for I just want to take another second to say how much I love everybody who has gone out of their way to tag me in posts, to speak kind words of me to other people, to just the fans who are just helping me right now. Because again, I'm just an average dude doing cool shit because of cool dudes who are helping me out. So to the fans, thank you guys so much. I'm not just a wrestler, I'm a movement. Hashtag wrestler of the people. Let's make this happen. Let's show everybody in the world of wrestling how strong your voice really is.
I love that. But thank you for joining us today, Christian. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
And I please, Christian, please come back on at some point in the future.
I was just going to say that we've got to get you back.
I'm down.
Point down the line.
This was thoroughly enjoyable. I'm absolutely down. You gotta promise me though that Opie's gonna make an appearance, okay?
Opie will make an appearance on every recording you come on. I will make sure Opie's there. 100%.
Give that cat belly rubs for me.
Of course I will. That's one of her favourite things, actually. She'll literally lay on her back and just expect it. So I don't have a choice.
Your hand, like I'm surprised you can't see the scars. Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. She's a bit, hang on. There she is. There you go.
Yay.
Hi, Opie. It's been nice meeting you. It's like she's got like a little luchador mask.
She does.
But, no, we would love you back on. Obviously, we also have Kurt that usually joins us. Couldn't make it tonight. I believe he sent a tweet out today. So hopefully next time we'll have Kurt as well. But it has been an absolute pleasure, Christian. I've thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I think I can speak for Callum as well, can't I, saying that?
Yeah, it's been great.
It's
thank you, guys. I the same.
Yeah, I don't want it to end. I just want to talk about Sons of Anarchy and beards.
Hey, my DMs are always open, guys.
I will bear that in mind. But
I'm sure Jimmy will be sliding into them real soon.
It's amazing. Nobody ever slides into mine. I mean, I'm throwing it out there, ladies. I'm a single man.
Come on, somebody slide in this man's DMs. Look at that beard.
It's an absolute patch.
There we go. But yeah, thank you, Christian. It's been absolutely fantastic. We will speak to you again at some point. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We are Ringsiders. We will see you again soon.
See you soon.
Thanks, guys.